As we get older, our bodies go through changes that we often can't see, but those changes can have powerful effects on our health. Deep inside every cell in your body are tiny structures working around the clock to keep you alive and functioning. Some of you might remember learning about them in biology class. Think about mitochondria, often called the powerhouse of the cell. But mitochondria aren't the only players in this microscopic world. There are many molecules and systems inside our cells that quietly support energy production, repair damage, and maintain healthy tissues. One of these molecules, called nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, better known as NAD, has recently become the focus of growing scientific attention. Researchers are now investigating whether boosting NAD levels could help improve certain aspects of health, including something that affects millions of people worldwide: blood pressure. Before we dive deeper, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss more science-backed health insights like this one. And if you're interested in the research behind today's topic, check the description box where we've included sources and references for you to explore. Let's start with NAD itself. NAD is a molecule found in every living cell in the body. It plays a critical role in energy metabolism, which means it helps cells convert nutrients from food into usable energy. Beyond energy production, NAD is also involved in repairing damaged DNA, regulating cellular stress responses, and supporting overall cellular health. Essentially, it's a central piece of the machinery that keeps our cells running efficiently. But there's an important catch. As we age, NAD levels naturally decline. Scientists have observed that this decline may contribute to several age-related changes in the body, including reduced cellular repair capacity and decreased efficiency in certain biological systems. One system that may be affected by declining NAD levels is the cardiovascular system. As NAD levels drop, certain processes that support healthy blood vessels may not function as effectively. Blood vessels rely on healthy endothelial cells, the cells lining the inside of arteries, to regulate blood flow and maintain flexibility. When this system doesn't function optimally, blood vessels can become less efficient at expanding and contracting. Over time, this can contribute to elevated blood pressure, also known as hypertension. Hypertension is a major health concern around the world. It's often called the silent killer because it usually develops without obvious symptoms, yet it significantly increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, and other cardiovascular complications. Because of this, scientists are constantly exploring new ways to support healthy blood pressure levels. One compound that has gained attention recently is nicotinamide mononucleotide, or NMN. NMN is a molecule that serves as a direct precursor to NAD. In simpler terms, it's a substance that the body can convert into NAD once it enters the cells. Since NAD levels naturally decline with age, researchers have been curious about whether taking NMN supplements could help restore or increase NAD levels and potentially improve certain health outcomes. Over the past few years, NMN supplements have become increasingly popular in the health and wellness space. Some people take them with the hope of supporting healthy aging, improving cellular energy, or enhancing metabolic health. But popularity alone doesn't mean something actually works. That's why scientists have been conducting research studies to better understand the real effects of NMN supplementation. One recent study published in the journal Nutrients attempted to answer an important question. Could taking NMN supplements help lower blood pressure? To investigate this, researchers conducted what is known as a systematic review and meta-analysis. This type of research doesn't just look at one study. It combines the results of multiple high-quality studies to get a clearer overall picture. In this case, the researchers analyzed data from 10 randomized controlled trials. These trials included a total of 349 participants from several countries, including China, Japan, and the United States. In each of these trials, participants were given either NMN supplements or a placebo. The doses of NMN varied between studies, ranging from 250 milligrams per day to as much as 1,500 milligrams per day. The duration of these studies also varied, lasting anywhere from 4 weeks to 12 weeks. The main outcome researchers wanted to examine was resting blood pressure. Blood pressure measurements typically include two numbers: systolic pressure, which represents the force of blood against artery walls when the heart beats, and diastolic pressure, which represents the pressure between heartbeats when the heart relaxes. After analyzing the combined data from all 10 trials, the researchers found that NMN supplementation was associated with a small but measurable reduction in diastolic blood pressure. On average, participants who took NMN experienced about a 2.15 millimeters of mercury reduction in diastolic pressure compared with those who took a placebo. However, the results were a bit different for systolic blood pressure. When the researchers looked at that measurement, they did not find a statistically significant reduction overall. In other words, NMN did not appear to meaningfully change systolic blood pressure in the combined analysis. The researchers also performed what's called a subgroup analysis. This means they looked more closely at specific groups within the data to see whether certain populations experienced different effects. Interestingly, when they examined participants aged 60 years and older, they observed a modest reduction in systolic blood pressure in this older group. But there's an important caveat here. This finding was based on a smaller number of studies, so scientists caution that it should be interpreted carefully. Now, if you're wondering whether a 2 millimeter drop in diastolic blood pressure is meaningful, the answer is a bit complicated. Even small reductions in blood pressure across large populations can potentially reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. But on an individual level, a change of about 2 millimeters is considered relatively modest. To better understand how NMN compares to other approaches, researchers also looked at how these results stack up against well-established lifestyle strategies for managing blood pressure. One well-known approach is the DASH diet, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. This eating pattern emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and low-fat dairy, while limiting sodium and processed foods. Studies have shown that the DASH diet can reduce diastolic blood pressure by around 2.6 millimeters of mercury on average. Regular aerobic exercise is another powerful intervention. Meeting the recommended guideline of about 150 minutes of moderate physical activity per week, things like brisk walking, cycling, or swimming, has been associated with an average reduction of about 2.5 millimeters of mercury in diastolic blood pressure. When compared side by side, NMN supplementation produced an average reduction of about 2.1 millimeters. That means its effects appear somewhat similar in magnitude to these lifestyle interventions, at least in terms of diastolic pressure. However, there is a major difference. Lifestyle strategies like exercise and healthy dietary patterns are supported by decades of extensive research demonstrating broad health benefits. They don't just influence blood pressure, they also improve metabolic health, support heart function, and reduce the risk of many chronic diseases. NMN supplementation, on the other hand, is still relatively new in terms of clinical research. The studies analyzed in this review were short-term and involved a limited number of participants. Because of this, scientists emphasize that more research is needed, especially larger and longer-term studies, to determine whether NMN truly offers meaningful cardiovascular benefits. So what does all of this mean for real life? If you're someone who is curious about NMN supplements, the current evidence suggests that they may have a modest effect on diastolic blood pressure, but they should not be viewed as a replacement for proven lifestyle strategies like healthy eating, regular exercise, maintaining a healthy weight, and managing stress. It's also important to remember that supplements can affect people differently, and their safety and effectiveness may vary depending on individual health conditions. That's why healthcare professionals consistently recommend speaking with a doctor or qualified healthcare provider before starting any new supplement. If you're concerned about your blood pressure or looking for ways to support your cardiovascular health, the best first step is usually to evaluate your overall lifestyle habits and discuss your options with a medical professional. At the end of the day, science is always evolving. NMN is an exciting area of research, and future studies may reveal more about how it influences aging, metabolism, and heart health. But for now, the evidence suggests it may provide only a small benefit when it comes to blood pressure, and it should be considered just one piece of a much larger health puzzle. If you found this breakdown helpful and enjoy learning about the science behind health and nutrition, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based insights. And don't forget to check the description box for the studies and references we used while preparing this video so you can explore the research yourself.